I basically, I didn't tell her. I just said that.
Now, hey, you know why some of those photos were cut off in that one spot on Charles City or whatnot? It's because Corey took a really cool panoramic shot. That one.
Yeah, like
She took a panoramic shot. So what it did is it cropped all the pictures that fit. Yeah, I didn't do this. Watch this.
I like that one.
Yeah, that photo right there caused why all the rest of the pictures are looking like.
You said, why think of that?
So I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna fix it. Now what's gonna happen? That panoramic shot's gonna look stupid because it's gonna square it.
Put a border on it. It's basketball. Go. Yeah, that would be. Did you put them up there? You put them on the ground.
Oh my gosh.
What else is new?
What love you?
I like that one. Go back. Okay, I was like, you need a back button.
I'll put it in there and calm it down. All right, fix it. Calm down. Back button. If you hit refresh on that one photo.
I gotta go.
Even though that was 2. Yeah. And that often?
This is your book.
Yes, just put it on this one.
Mr. Ward.
Hello? Okay.
I'm so happy.
Okay, each person has to. Hey, I thought you were one. What's up?
I'm so happy. I got an email from Diego saying that a Dutch label wants to use one of my songs in their compilation.
Ooh, so you get paid?
Yeah, I get paid for them using it.
Oh man. Do you make bank or just a couple bucks?
What?
You make bank?
I don't know.
I don't know yet.
Yeah, I don't
Right,
know yet.
everyone's got to pay their own state.
Okay.
Bye, Jeremy. Well, good for you.
All right,
stay.
safe.
I'll go play.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't like this. It is there.
hey, I know we did have homework from yesterday. I'm going to give you some time today to actually work on that, just a little bit. Today's goal is to go over the practice test. So yeah, so homework's right there. I think it was on the website as of yesterday, so I could have put it in after school yesterday. And then we were missing some people. All right, today we're going to go through the practice guide. Now the test for us potentially is like next Tuesday or Wednesday. Why I say potentially, because I know Ms. Schmidt is on one of the days she's made a review game for us, for a player review game. Ooh, one of the days. So that's all. That was all her. So I thought it was kind of fun. We're gonna go with it. So
whenever I versus Sean at any game, I would beat him. So.
all right. So okay, does everyone have a practice guide today? Okay. Now I know. Don't be confused. Ms. Schmidt's gone today. Mrs. Preeby's filling in for her. She'll be coming in here in a minute. She's a subject. She used to teach event her. She was on the teacher for us. She's on. You'll love her. So, all right. Okay. All right. So now that we're here, make sure you have your practice guide out in front of you. We're going to go through the first couple like we always do, and I want to make sure that we're comfortable with what we have here. So we're going to go through each of the types of questions. I'm going to pop it up here. All right. Perfect. Okay, so number one, put your name on it. Now this can be due whatever day we have the test. So again, I do grade these. You do have to turn them in. Okay. This can be due the day of the test. We're going to go through each question today. This is how many questions will be in your actual test. So there's going to be 15 questions on the actual test on test day. We're going to go through the first 6 or 7 today. That's what we're going to go through. Okay. I think we're going to hit the first 7 today. Okay. Pretty basic. It's going to cover everything we've talked about in Chapter 3, kind of 1 or 2 examples of each type. There's nothing really crazy difficult, but we have to remember like what we did a couple weeks ago, like 2 or 3 weeks ago. So I mean, that's maybe a while ago. So let's do a quick review. So on the first one, you have to give me the fraction that represents the shaded parts to the entire picture. Okay, so now, you can do that for yours. I'm going to make up my own photo so you can see 2 different ones. Okay, so here's going to be my photo. Let's say that was my photo. Okay. How many parts on this photo are shaded? 3. 3. Okay. So we put 3 on the top. And then how many total pieces on that pie were there?
6.
How many pieces?
7. 8.
Gotcha. First Friday of the month.
Oh god.
First Friday of the month. Always goes up. All right. Okay. So we see that 3 out of 8. That's what I'm doing. Okay. You have to do that for your picture. Now that was mine, you have to do that for yours. Okay, questions, comments, how do you do that? Notice, you have to count all the pieces, not just the ones that are not shaded. All of them. That's what goes on the bottom. Okay, make sense? Okay, do that for yours, fill out your number, let's move on to the next problem. Okay? Alright, number 2.
I heard.
Okay, here we go. Alright, number 2. We're going to prove which fraction is greater. We also have to tell, we have to tell and prove it. So there's 2 parts here. There's 2 methods. And I put a hint here. You probably will not have hints on the test day, just so you know that. Okay, so we can either use a cross product, or we can find common denominators. That will help us figure out which fraction is bigger. Okay. I'm going to try to do both. I'm going to make up my own problem now, so we can see it from my problem, and you can do it for yours. Okay, so let's say my problem is, let's say it's 5 over 6, and I'm comparing that to, let's go 7 over 8. So the fractions are really close. It's hard to see which score is actually the better one. Okay, it doesn't just have to be whatever bottom number or top number is bigger. That's not how you do it. You actually have to find common denominators or cross products. I'm going to do common denominators first to show you which one's bigger, and then we'll do the cross product to also prove it. Okay, so common denominators here. On these common denominators, I just multiply these 2 numbers together. That's like the quickest way to do it. So 6 times 8 is what? 6 times 8?
50.
times 8 is 48. Now, on this first fraction, what did I multiply in the 6? 8, so I have to take the top times 8. 8 times 5.
40.
40. Okay. All right, now on the second fraction, what did I multiply in this 8 to make 48? 6, so I take the top times 6. I get 42. Which fraction is bigger? The right one. The one with the 42. This is a better scoring test than the other one. So that means on this original problem, this fraction is greater. Notice, when I draw the little alligator mouth, the alligator has to eat the bigger fraction. Okay, it's called the greater than, or this is actually, when we read it, it's called a less than symbol, but the mouth is facing the bigger fraction. I know that a lot of people like to circle it. You actually have to draw the symbol. Okay, question.
Instead of like actually like working out, can you just use common sense? Because like, I would have known that the right one
No.
was bigger.
No, you have to actually prove it, because sometimes it's against what you originally think. Okay, so does everyone understand the common denominator rule? You can find common denominators, fix the tops, and it tells you which fraction is bigger. Now, there is another way to do this problem, like right when you first start. This is actually probably maybe a faster method. The faster method on this type of problem is you would start on the bottom and you go diagonally. So what I do is I'm going to start here on the bottom and I go diagonally, and that will be this number. Okay? Then I start over here on this bottom and I go diagonally up. And notice where the arrows are going. They're going up, bottom up. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to write those numbers down. So what I'm doing here, when I go across, I'm going to multiply. What is 6 times 7?
42.
42, that's this number, thank you. All right.
I wanted to know an answer.
All right, 5 times 8.
40.
40, all right. So all I did is I went across and I wrote down the number. I cross, wrote down the number. That's why the arrows are pointing there. Bottom up, bottom up. Which number is bigger? 42. That means this fraction is bigger. It's on that side. So bottom up. It's the same number. You just did that. This is the fastest way to do it. That tells you which fraction is bigger. Notice the gator wants to eat the bigger amount. That's what you have to do on yours. You have to figure out which fraction is bigger. So you can either do common denominator rule, or you can do that little cross product. It's the same thing. It's just faster. Okay, but again, you're going bottom up when you write down the numbers. Okay, that's where you'll need to multiply. You'll have to have some multiplying skills. Okay, questions, comments on number 2. Okay, again, you have to tell me which one's bigger, and you have to show me the work. You have to prove it. Okay, and again, that hint will not be their testing. So, okay, questions, comments on any of the 2 problems we've done, not just this one, but the first one as well.
What was the first one? I missed that.
Yeah,
Because I didn't know that fast rule, Mr. Ward.
Hey, look at that.
That's really slick.
Figured out something new today. First problem today was the if I give you a picture, could you give me the fraction that represents it? So you count how many are shaded. You count how many are shaded, and that goes on the top of your fraction over the entire picture. So I'm getting a fraction that represents that. All right. If there's no other questions, we're going to move on. Let's move on to number 3. Remember, we're only going through the first 7 today. We'll do the next 7 maybe Tuesday, maybe, if we have a review again on Monday. All right. So on number 3, make that a little bit bigger. All right. That's big we can get it. We need to find the question mark, the missing number. Okay? This is a proportion. It's a scale. Okay? Remember, when we talked about this, what we use these for, finding missing values, it's to change the scale of a fraction. Question? Okay, good. So here you have the number. Now, when we're using these in class, we use these for the maps problems to figure out distance on a map. We also did it for recipes when we're changing like the size of a recipe if we're going up. Maybe the recipe called for 6 spoonful of sugar and it makes 13 cookies. We're looking for how many spoonful of sugars will make 39 cookies. So it's even more sugar, right? Because it's a bigger number. So what we talked about in class, there was 2 methods of finding the question mark. 2 different ways. That was like the option. And now you know the number, right? Which is?
18.
18. Okay, you are correct. Now let's talk about why. Okay? Let's talk about this process and how we find it. And let's stick with a small fraction. Let's go with like 30 down here. And I want to find this x, this question mark, where you want to call it. Okay, so this is kind of like your problem. One of the methods you can do, you can figure out what did they multiply or divide to make this number to the 30. What do they multiply with 5 to make 30? If this is my, yeah, they multiply by 6, right? You could do the same rule. I could take my 4 times 6, and that'll give me my question mark. So what's 4 times 6? 24. I heard 18. Nice. All right, 24. That's my number. That's the question mark. Well, that's what you can do. What do you take times 13? That would make 39. What do you multiply by? What do you multiply on 13 to make 39? 3. And then you can take this top number times 3 as well. And that will get you to the number you said, which was 15. Okay? Now, if you don't like that, like, I didn't get that, because I don't like trying to figure out what you multiply by. You could do this by that fish method we talked about, cross multiplying. Remember in class we talked about, I refer to it as a goldfish, right? So, we're finding the question mark. So, the goldfish, how we do this, you start with the number above or below the question mark. So we're going to start with the 30. You cross multiply, so diagonal is cross, and then you divide by the remaining number. So cross multiplying by it, and it looks like a goldfish. Okay? But again, we're taking the 30 times 4, so that's what you might need a calculator if you don't know how to multiply that. And then you have to divide by the remaining number of the 5. And that should give you the same result. It should give you the 24. Or in your case, the 18. Okay. Questions, comments on that one? Now, here's the thing. On any of these questions, if you want another example, if you want to try one, I'll make up a problem we can go through. So, is there any questions, concerns about number 3? Ms. Free, do you have any insight, like how you would use it in your classroom? Because I know you do this a lot for
Yeah,
the SES class.
I mean, that little fish method, that is like so slick, because the only way that I ever learned and knew how to do that is to do what he was doing, you know, hey, take 13 times 2, so you have to divide kind of the 13, or just kind of figure that out, and then multiply that, but proportions.
Big deal. I mean, Ms. Free, how many years do you have FCS classes, like family consumer science classes?
How many years?
Yeah, how many years do you teach?
Oh! 35.
35? Yeah. And that was like probably a daily thing when you're doing recipes and you're cooking and baking. I mean, I can't stress it enough. Like, our cooks do it all the time. When they have to scale a recipe, I mean, that's the only way to really do it. But the best part about doing it by this, like, fish method, right? It's called a cross multiply, cross product. It will give you decimals too. So it's like, oh, 2.5 cups would be required, something like that. So, okay. Questions, comments on any of the problems so far? All right. Let's move on. Let's go to number 4. Again, if you want to see another example, don't be afraid. I'll throw just kind of random one up here. We can try it out.
You know, another place, Mr. Ward, that some of this information is really important. Looking at just like jobs, you know, where do you use this in the real world? Our oldest son works with seed research out of the Pioneer Research Project in Algona, and he's in charge of planting all of the parent seed, taking care of all that, and the sprays and everything. And he has to also calibrate a lot of instruments, and you know, like my second son worked with seed treater calibrate. You use this stuff in a lot of those processes.
Certain proportions and mixing.
Mixing, and you know, maybe having to change something from one form to another form.
Good point. Yeah, I never really think about that.
So this is what they have to do.
We're just doing the first step.
Oh.
All right. So next, number 4, we're going to simplify the fraction. We can divide by the greatest common denominator. That was one of the hints. Now, what was the other rule that we talked about in class for how we simplify? There was a kind of a quick way to do it. How did we do it? That's what you got. You can do it on a calculator, right? That is using the little ABC button, right? The little ABC button. You could type in the first number, right? Type in the first number, which is 28. You can hit the little ABC button on your calculator. Type in the 64, and then when you hit equals, boom, simplifies. That's another way, right? Technology, you can use that. Now, we also did it by another method, other than trying to find out what was the biggest number they had in common, the greatest number. What we talked about was finding what are numbers that multiply to give you each of those. What are numbers that multiply to give you 28? Think about this. Think about two numbers that multiply to give you 28. 8 and 4. 4 and 7. 4 and 7. 4 and 7 will multiply to give you 28.
14 and 2.
14 and 2. Yeah, there's another good one. Right? You're just trying to think of offhand, what are just quick numbers that multiply to give you those. So if you need a calculator or some sort, you don't know those. Then what you do is you break that number up further. What are numbers that multiply to give you 4? 2 and 2. Okay, 2 and 2. Alright, so that's what we talked about in class. You break them up as far as you can until you can't break them up any further. Okay, what about 64?
8 and
8
8.
and 8? Oh, there's 2. Equals 8. And then what we do is we break down 8 even further. So what multiplies to give us 8? 4 and 2s. And we can break down the 4 even further, be 2 and 2. And so that breaks down the same thing. 8 is 4 times 2, which the 4 is a 2 times 2. And now what we talked about in class is that you can start crossing things out. Okay? So for instance, this 2 is gone with that 2. This 2 is gone with that 2. Now what's left? That's your 8. Okay? Alright, so on the top, let's go around the room. We'll start with Hannah. What would be the number on the top for that, if I were to simplify? 7. Okay? Jason, what's the number on the bottom over here? What do we get?
2 times 2 is 4, 8. Or no? 16.
Yeah, it's 4 to the store, right? So that's 16. Okay? He's absolutely right. There's your number. That's your fraction. Now, if you did it on the calculator, did you get the same thing? Perfect. Look at that. You can use technology to help you out. Okay? But I think this method is great if the numbers are kind of small, right? Because you kind of know what multiplies to give you that. It's quick. You can just cross things out. It's called the cancellation method. You can cancel the numbers out by common factors. So, yeah, not bad. All right. So, that was number 4. Expect something where I just give you a fraction. You have to simplify this. Okay. Questions on number 4? Did you want to see anything? Do you want to do another one? We comfortable with the process we did there? Okay. We use that a lot, right? So we always want to try to simplify. Now, I didn't require that later. If you think back to the homework we did, when we were adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing fractions, I didn't require that you had to simplify. You just had to do it. Okay? All right. All right, let's go to number 5. There's a hint on this one as well. We have it. Okay. So, all right. So number 5. We need to rename this mixed number. So we want to make it an improper fraction. Now let's talk about that. So, Alex, what is an improper fraction to start with?
There's a bigger number that's bigger on the top.
Boom. Bigger number on the top, right? That's what we want to get to. Now there is a method. It's actually in the hand. It's called the circle method. But what's the process we do? That's what you got. Exactly. You take the big 11, the whole number, times the bottom, which is the 3, and you add the top. Okay? Now I'm going to make up my own, just so you always have an extra one if you want to see this. So I'm going to go 5 halves. Right? You take the big 5 times the bottom, and you add the top, just like about the same. And then what is that over?
3.
Yeah, in your case, you got to have the 3 on the bottom, correct? On mine, what's my bottom? 2. The denominator will always stay there. It will never change. And so my answer on my particular problem is 10 plus 1, which is 11, over 2. And that's what I want. Yours, gee, what is that? 35 over 3? Yeah. Not bad. All right, so big number times bottom. Now, why we did that? The process, why we did this so long ago. We had to do that for multiplying and dividing. Right? When you multiply and divide fractions, we have to get them to improper if we need to, because then we can go further from there. We could do that for adding and subtracting, but we didn't have to. We can do grouping and stuff. But definitely for multiplying and dividing, we have to go to improper. Now I know this number is super goofy. 11 over 2, that doesn't make any sense. Getting like 11 points on a test and there's only 2 possible. That doesn't make sense. It's extra credit kind of thing. But what it's actually representing is this. Like if this is in terms of food, you have 5 full pans of brownies, and your 6th pan, the extra pan you have, has 1 brownie left out of 2. So you have almost 6 full pans. There's just a half left over. That type of thing. And what the mixed number means is that if you were to combine all of your brownies down to 1 single pan, there'd be 11 brownies in that pan that can only hold 2 of them. So you can stack them on top. Okay, let's go to lunch.
So that's what you're doing, they have a test coming up?
They have a test, potentially next, I'm going to say it's next Wednesday.
But these are gonna be the questions, but you'll just change them.
numbers.
What a super thing to do.
And we do it just so that it alleviates their stress.
Yeah, because they know what they have to know,
Yeah.
and all you wanna know is, do they know the process? And,
That we do.
but where did you learn, like, where did you learn that fish thing? How do you learn, just little
Yeah.
things like that?
Yeah. Learned that from 5th grade now. Yeah. Just kind of use it from the things I've learned.
Yeah, because there's just lots of different ways to accomplish math answers.
All right.
Well, for me,
The regular instructor.
I bet.
Oh, because of the controller.
No, I think I'm a phone.
What was this quickly?
All right, perfect. So we just got done with number 5. We're going to continue on with number 6 here in a minute. We only have 2 problems left, and then we'll move on. Okay. So we're going to pick up with number 6 here in a minute. I'll give a few minutes here, kind of digest some food, get back into some things here, and we'll continue on with 6. We only got 2 problems, 6 and 7. Okay, and then I'll give you some time. Remember, this assignment, when is it due?
Monday.
Monday. So you need to make sure you're taking time. Those are your adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing. You know your order. Those are those questions.
Yeah.
Are they trying to rush the concrete today? Yeah. I'll go walk that way.
Huh?
I've been doing it for quite a while. Can't wait till like next year. Yeah, right now it's getting out of control. Okay. All right. So we're on number 6 here. Okay, we need to simplify this number. Now, when you look at number 6, what's wrong with this problem?
Oh, I already know. 31.
Yeah. The number in the back, right?
Yeah.
We have the 31. It's a mixed number, right? 31 it's a mixed number, but the problem is the 31 looks out of place because the fraction behind it is improper. It's wrong. So what we need to do is we need to fix this. So we need to change this thing right here so that this 31 doesn't look like it's out of place. Okay, so that's what we're going to look at. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to create my own little problem so you can see this. Okay. So 7, and let's go with like 4 thirds. Okay. So this is what my problem looks like, and then you guys can do it for yours. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work with this first. I need to fix this fraction. Okay. So the 4 is going to go in the house. The 3 is going to go on the outside because I need to figure out what this actually represents as a mixed number, right? So 3 goes into 4 how many times?
1 time.
1 time. So 3 times 1 is 3. I subtract and I get 1. So what this means, this is the big number that's out front. That's the whole number that this is representing. This is your remainder. That number goes here. And then what goes on the bottom? 3. Now this number will go on the bottom. Okay, so now that you have that, now what we can do is we can combine that with the 7 that was already out front. So this problem is actually 8 and 1/3. That's what we're doing. We're trying to get back to a normal mixed number so that the like in your problem, the 31 doesn't look goofy. Because right now it's like out of place, but 36 behind it. Question?
I was turning into a smart Alex, but can you change 7 and 4/3 to like
Improper?
No, like common sense kind of like change the 4 to a 1 because you're giving it to the 7.
You could technically do this, yes. Question? Yes. Yeah. That was what we got yesterday. Yes. All right, it was story prompts. So those kind of the prompts we were working on. Okay. All right. Questions with number 6. Now I didn't do your 6. I did like an example of it. But does anyone have any questions of how you need to do yours? You need to change yours back to a normal. So I can already tell you right now that 31 needs to go up, and then that fraction behind's got to simplify a little bit. Okay.
So you can't change it to improper and go like that.
Yes. You could do it by improper and go the old-fashioned way to do it. So that's another way to do it. Change to improper, then simplify it back. So, all right, by doing it by one to do. Okay. Questions with number 6. Okay. Last part of the day, then you guys can just kind of work, and I'll give you about 15 minutes for you to kind of work today, which I know I want to do. Okay? All right, so number 7. Okay. All right, this is our last from the day. All right. We want to simplify this improper fraction by renaming it to a mixed number. So this is the way that you could have done problem number 6. You make it one of these first. Take the big number times the bottom at the top, right? You make it improper. Then what we do is we go back to the next number from here. So if you changed your number 6 to look something like this, in order to begin with, then we can go further with what we're about to do. We're going to do long division. Okay, now I'm going to make it my own. Let's say that my problem is 17 over 7. Let's say that that's my problem. Okay, because I don't want to do yours. I want to let you get some practice with that. So to do 17 over 7, what I'm going to do is the 17 will go in the house, the 7 will go on the outside. So that's the process that I'm going to do. That way I can change this improper back to a mixed number, right? So the 7, how many times can it go into 17 without going over?
2.
Twice. Only twice. That's about as close as you can get. 7 times 2 is 14. When you subtract, you get a 3. That's 17 minus 14. That's 3. So now I'm already coming out with my mixed number. This is the big whole number that will be out front. That's the big whole number. And then this is your remainder, right? That's going to be on the fraction behind it. That'll be the 3 that goes here. And what number goes on the bottom? 7. What you divide it by. Because the 7 should always be on the bottom because that's where it is here. So this mixed number represents this score. 17 over 7, which doesn't make sense, right? You did, in test scores, you got a bunch of extra credit. Or if I'm talking about pans of brownies, you had a bunch of brownies stacked in a pan, but only 7 fit in there. So you have to have multiple pans of brownies, like full pans. So we had 2 full pans plus an extra pan. So almost 3 pans together. Okay. Questions, comments, concerns on number 7? Okay, now your goal today. If you haven't already, your goal today, before you try to leave, try to get through number 7 and finish each problem separately. Because I know I did a couple where you like this problem, I make up my own. I did some examples for you. So get some practice. Try to get through number 7 today. And then once you're through there, then you can work on your homework that was due Monday. That was the stuff we gave the other day. That was the story problems. Okay? If you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask. Ms. Freebie and myself are in the room, so you can ask any of us, and we'll try to help you out. And then make sure that this practice guide is due whatever day we have the test. Right now, tentatively, it's like Tuesday or Wednesday next week, the test, because we saw that review day that Mr. Schmidt wants to do, where we kind of play games and do a review on all the topics. Okay. Any questions or concerns? Okay, if you need to borrow calculators, they're up here. You guys know the little tray that they're found in. You can take your time and work. I'm going to put an extra practice test on my website tonight. So if you let's say you lose it over the weekend, you can reprint it if you have a printer at home. So I'll add that to the website. It's clickable. You can open it up and Google and reprint it. There you go. Class video today. I'll post that to the website too. That'll be after the basketball game's back, so it's gonna be kind of late. So, but that will be posted. quick reminder, when is our homework due? Monday. Okay, so practice guide is due Tuesday or Wednesday, whenever we have the test. I'm expecting it probably Wednesday, because we're going to have one of those days that we do a review. Make sure we're on it. Remember, the homework that we have here, these 4 pages, they're adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, fractions. So that's kind of where I pulled those from. So if you don't know kind of what you're doing, probably look at the title of the section that you're on. Probably tells you what operation you're going to be. Okay, remember, I'll be here Monday morning if you need me. Today after school I leave like 9:30. So